I'm going to talk about Enterprise Mobility Suite. It's something new and something a bit, well, I wouldn't say old-fashioned, but it's not really new as being released for only a few weeks. The Enterprise Mobility Suite, as the terminology, as a solution, is pretty new, but the technology underneath exists for like 2 years already, but it's been updated and optimized. This session, as you probably know, is one of the speaker competition winnings. So a couple of months ago, by the people behind the EVO conference, they sent out an email to the community asking, hey, we're looking for speakers. And I said, yeah, but SharePoint. I don't know anything about SharePoint, but I do know a bit about SharePoint, but not like all the other presenters here, and especially all the ones who are attending. And I said, you know, I've spoken at quite a lot of conferences already, always about Microsoft technologies, but never something related to SharePoint. And as you will find out later on, EMS is somehow or can somehow be related to SharePoint as well. So I said, you know, I'm just going to try, and here I am. The good thing is, I won something, I'm here. I hope to give you an enjoyable hour, giving you some tips and tricks on how to implement it. Well, first of all, what is EMS, how to implement it, some experience out of my own projects I've been doing, deploying EMS at customers. And I want you to win something as well. You'll find out during the session that I'm really passionate about community. Who's on Twitter? All of you? At least one? Sometimes, it depends. If I can win a prize, then yeah, I'll just log on to Twitter, and yeah, I know how it goes. Go out to Twitter, like right now or somewhere when you're reviewing the recording. Send a tweet with the 3 keywords in it, and you might win an ebook or something else, like a t-shirt, or we got quite some prize giveaways. So the session itself, first of all, is what I call setting the mobility scene. How to handle mobility. How should you, as an organization, take care of mobile devices? What are the issues? What is the business driver for managing mobile devices? That's the first thing. It's mobility marketing pitch. It's only 3 slides, so it shouldn't be that hard. Second topic is specifically, what is EMS? What is the Enterprise Mobility Suite? And then, of course, how to implement it. What are the different components? How can I use it? What does it cost, without actually talking too much about licensing, but you'll find out that most components are pretty familiar already. And then, to keep it a bit interactive, I prepped some demos as well, to show you in real life on my Windows phone that I'm using as my day-to-day phone, how it's working and what are the capabilities. Q&A is at the end, but I mean, it's not really the biggest audience, so feel free to ask questions related to the topic or even a bit outside. It doesn't matter. So with that, a couple of words about myself. I'm from Belgium, so I'm not a native English speaker. I've been a Microsoft trainer quite actively for almost 10 years. Next year will actually be my official 10th year. Been an MVP on Windows IT Pro, which is the most awful MVP nomination you can get. I mean, I'm really happy with it, but it's a bucket of a bit of everything. I mean, I've been working with Windows Client, been working with server, doing quite a lot of cloud technologies, Azure, Windows Intune, so it's a bit of everything. So I'm not really fitting in one of those specific, like I'm a SharePoint MVP, or I'm an Exchange MVP, or a desktop deployment MVP. So the Windows IT Pro is like an overall collection. And community, again, is pretty important to me. And besides speaking at conferences and doing community work, my day-to-day job is managing a Microsoft team within Sogeti Belgium, and also running the Microsoft Alliance. I only know Microsoft stuff. That's what I do. Enough about myself. Setting the mobility scene. When I'm talking to customers about mobility, about Office 365, about Intune, who has never heard of Office 365? Okay, that's good. Who has never heard of Intune? Okay. Who has never heard of Azure? Cool. You know the 3 components out of EMS already. That's good. Now, when I'm talking to my customers, they ask me questions. Hey, I want to connect my Exchange server. I want to migrate to Office 365. And I want to make sure that my users who are using Android devices, iPhones, iPads, Windows tablets, Windows phones, whatever, being corporate devices, or even worse, their own devices, how can I, from an IT perspective in my organization, how can I manage it? We all know there are quite a lot of mobile device management solutions, but some of them are only working on a specific operating system. Some of them are lacking features. Some of them aren't always that secure as they promise they would be. So that's giving some issues. But the baseline is mobility is normal. Who is not using a mobile device nowadays? Everybody is. I got 2 daughters, 16-year-old and a 9-year-old. They are using mobile devices. Take the mobile device away and they're like not functioning anymore. You can take away the Wi-Fi. That might sometimes help because they got quite a lot of apps running locally on the device. But take away their device and they go crazy. It's the same with people within your own organization. They are somehow living and working with their device. In my own organization, for example, when I want to connect my email, my full Outlook client on my laptop, I need to open a VPN connection. When I'm using email on my Windows phone, I don't need VPN connection. I know from a security perspective, it doesn't make sense. For me as a user, I'm not really using my full Outlook client for sending email anymore. Why? Because I'm so bothered in using a full VPN connection. I need to log on to my PC. I need to connect with a VPN session. Then I start Outlook, it's taking some time. VPN is sometimes a bit doing crazy. But on my mobile device, I can just take it out of my pocket, sending my emails, replying and everything. For me, my mobile device, my Windows phone, it's my working device. Why can I use my Windows device as a working device? Because it's completely controlled by the IT guys in the company. They define what I can do with my mobile device. So that's about being the normal. Everybody's using mobility. And we want to make sure that people can use their own devices. You remember the Nokia phones, so the ones you could open up? I still know a few colleagues who are still using that kind of device. But we are, within the company, migrating more and more to mobile apps. Yeah, and somehow they have to use it. Or another example, the company standard on phones is not like everybody's getting the latest iPhone 6. You can choose based on a budget. And then for some, especially the younger ones, yeah, some of them, like a couple of months ago, someone walked into the office, guy is 22 years old, and he got a brand new iPhone 6. And then the IT guys say, well, okay, that's a pretty cool device, but we're not really supporting that. You have to use one of those certified mobile devices that we are using. And you know how it goes. In his left pocket, it's the iPhone 6, and in the right pocket, it's a crappy Windows device. That's how he talks, right? So that's the issue we're facing today. And then last one, on mobility, no compromise on data security. Meaning, and I assume you all know, yeah, hopefully not really the issue within your own organization, but the main problem is, will we take control of devices that are not owned by the company? If I'm using my personal device, the one that I got from my wife for my birthday, whatever, will I use that device for synchronizing corporate email? Will they allow it or not? That's the main issue we are facing. The one and only solution you have to remember is the Microsoft Mobility Solution, EMS. Now, what's so great about it, without sounding too much like a marketing guy, it's first of all based on everything you already know. I asked you 3 questions: Office 365, Intune, Azure. You all know it already. So migrating or even starting with EMS, you already know 95% of the technology behind it. So that's pretty easy. Next to that, everybody, I assume, is running some Microsoft stuff in his own data center, or maybe in a hosting environment, but it's your environment. Using Active Directory, using maybe System Center Config Manager for managing your full Windows devices. Using Windows file servers and any other application, and of course SharePoint. Yeah, it's a SharePoint conference, so I have to mention SharePoint like 5 times in my session. And we got a bunch of devices, any flavor nowadays. We have an iPad, we want to connect to our email Exchange backend, it doesn't matter. We want to make sure that on my Android device, I can connect to the SharePoint backend of the organization, and so on. And next to that, Microsoft and quite a lot of other players in the market are pushing cloud applications, cloud data centers like Azure, like Amazon, and so on. Now the cool thing with Microsoft is you're very familiar with the upper part. The cloud stack is almost the same. Azure Active Directory, which I'm going to show you in the next couple of minutes, it's Active Directory running somewhere in the Azure cloud. Exchange on-premise migrating to Office 365, full cloud migration or in a hybrid scenario. Yeah, your user is using his device connecting to the Exchange backend today. When you're migrating the user from the on-premise Exchange to the Office 365, yeah, you still want him to connect to the Exchange backend as of tomorrow, when the mailbox has been migrated. And it will work fine even without any user intervention. So that's very important to understand. And then quite important, it all starts from Active Directory. The internal one, a cloud-based one, and again, a hybrid one. It's all possible. And then the applications, of course, they are somehow talking to each other. 3 components of EMS, Enterprise Mobility Suite. It's first of all based on Azure Active Directory Premium. Who is using Office 365 already? Okay, so you know Office 365 is based on Active Directory on-premise and then using DIRSync or whatever mechanism, talking to the Azure Active Directory. One of the newer components is Azure Active Directory Premium, giving you some additional features besides just having a user database. It costs you like, I don't know, the exact details, around $4 per month per user. So not really difficult to convince your financial guys, I think, about using that specific feature. Second component is Azure Rights Management Services. Who has no idea what Rights Management Services stands for? It's digital rights management. Think back, I don't know, like 5 to 10 years back, the Sony devices, the MP3 players, you could buy music in the online Sony store, and you could only play those MP3s on a Sony device. That's digital rights management. Bringing that to Azure, you have your Active Directory users, on-prem or in the cloud, synchronized, that's already covered. By using Azure Rights Management Services, you can define data policies, configuring, okay, you have your data. Data can be SharePoint documents, can be Exchange files, can be PDF documents, it doesn't matter. And they are stored, again, it doesn't matter. If they are stored in, let's say, SharePoint Online, but we're also running file servers on-premise, we can integrate the Azure, the cloud-based rights management services, also to our on-premise environment. So it's again all coming back together. Giving you possibilities, and I'll show you in a demo later on, giving you possibilities to, for example, define, okay, you as a user, you log on to our Windows file server that's running in our basement, and you have access based on Active Directory groups membership. You can play with a sales folder, the financial folder, the IT project number 999 folder, it doesn't matter. As long as you have access to the folder, you can do almost whatever you want with the data, right? Think back about mobility. I'm using my mobile device, I'm connecting to the Wi-Fi within the organization, I'm using file server connection, or I'm connecting to SharePoint. There's some Word document, very important Word document. The latest offer we have, and we know that our biggest competitor is also working for the same customer. So that Word document is very confidential. We want to make sure that nobody within our company is actually stealing that document. That's rights management. And then the last component brings me back to mobility from a device perspective. It's managing and controlling the device itself, which is done by Intune, and Intune exists for like almost 5 years now. 3 components, very easy. EMS, 3 letters, 3 components. If this would be like an exam, you would all pass. The power of EMS, but I explained most of it, it's management of the identity based on Azure Active Directory, which is in fact synchronization of your on-premise Active Directory users, and managing mobile devices, any device. Androids, Apples, iOS, I mean not the full Apple MacBooks, iOS, iPads, iPhones, and of course Windows devices. What flavors are supported? In general, all of them, if they are like maximum 2 years old. So if you have like a, I don't know, an iPad 1 that I'm still having at home, it's somewhere laying in the basement, it can't connect to Intune anymore because the iOS version is not supported. But I think who wants to use an iPad 1, right? Does make sense. Security through policy and encryption, rights management services. Conditional access. You as an organization, you can define, okay, the mobile device can connect to my backend, and backend can be like any application you can think of. And you as an IT organization, or of course in relation with the users and the business, you define the policies. If my device is not compliant with all the policies that we specify, sorry, my dear user, you cannot connect to Exchange Online. Although technically it's all possible, but you as an IT department or from a business perspective, you define, okay, you're using an Android, sorry, we're not supporting Androids, so we're going to block you from connecting to Exchange Online and SharePoint and our file servers and all the line of business applications. And then cross-platform I already mentioned. And then an interesting one, and also a bit a tricky and a bit difficult one, and I found that one out again when talking with one of you when we were waiting for the room to be cleared. Think about mobile device management. Think about Azure Active Directory. Think about Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and all the interactions. If you're already using Office 365, you'll say, yeah, okay, but you've been talking for like 15 minutes already, but I'm already using Office 365. And I know that MDM, mobile device management, since a few months is part of Office 365. So what's the difference? Why should I invest a couple of euros, but I'm from Belgium, a couple of pounds for actually taking the next step to EMS? It's all based on features. This slide, actually I need to update like every conference or even when I'm talking at a customer individually. This is like one of the only slides that needs to be updated on almost a weekly basis because the features are always changing. A few months ago, this was the best one. Oh, customer, you're using Exchange on-premise. Mobile device management? Yeah, we're using some application. Okay, pretty easy to sell the solution. Oh, customer, you're using Office 365. Oh, cool. Azure AD you already have. Mobile device management doesn't exist. So that's my selling point for using EMS. But for the last few months, Microsoft has been pushing features back and forth. Office 365, on-premise environments, and then the ultimate one, EMS. Without going too much in detail, I'm still pretty convinced that there's still a business case for positioning EMS. And that will be the rest of the session. So the first one, Azure Active Directory Premium. This is how an environment, an organization, can be a college, can be a corporate organization. This is how the user environment looks like. What do we have? We have on-premise stuff. Our servers, being Exchange, SharePoint, accounting applications, I don't care. We have our managed devices. Think of your Windows devices being part of the Active Directory domain, using group policies, being locked down, and so on. Pushing antivirus software, you know, a managed device. And best case, it's running in a private cloud, being on-premise infrastructure. And then there's everything on top, being cloud technology. To give you one example, I was at a customer a few weeks ago in Belgium. It was a hospital. And I was talking about cloud technology. Now, the IT guy and the, what they call the director of the campus, they were totally against cloud. Why? Because it's a hospital. Confidentiality, security of data, I mean, it makes sense. Now, at some point in time, they were talking about an email solution, well, actually an anti-spam mail security solution. And I knew that solution, and I'm not going to mention the solution, it's not really important for the specific case. And I was talking about, hey, you know, but that specific solution, the anti-malware, anti-spam solution you're using, you know that's a cloud service. And the campus director, he goes like, the IT guy, hey, is that a cloud service? No, it's not a cloud service. It's actually an appliance in our server room. I say, yeah, I know. It's an appliance who's doing caching and sending emails to the hosting environment from the security, the mail security company. So they were using a cloud service without actually knowing that they were using a cloud service. Another example from last year, again, another customer, talking with IT about migrating to Server 2012. And at some point in time during the meeting, someone from HR comes in. Hey, IT director, we have a problem. Our HR application is down, and we need to approve like holidays and vacation and sickness days and so on. Because, sorry, it's the end of the month, so they have to make sure that the timesheets and everything is up and running. So yeah, the IT guy said, yeah, no, Peter, excuse me for a couple of minutes. I'm going to check out what the issue is. So yeah, fine, no problem. Give me a coffee, and I'm a happy man. After 15 minutes, guy is still away. 30 minutes, still away. So I'm like, yeah, you know, time's running out. I have another meeting in the afternoon. So I walk over to the IT department. Any problem, maybe something I can help you with? Well, you know, we have our HR application, and the servers are up and running, the services are running, but from their desktop, they cannot connect to the backend. It's a web-based application, so in the browser, doing some testing, trying to connect out of my device, like, hey, you know, maybe something by Windows updates or whatsoever. Now, what actually happened after 2 hours of investigation, and I know it's a stupid example, but it's an excellent example for talking about cloud. What actually happened, the HR director agreed with the HR application company 2 months before to migrate from an on-premise HR application to a hosting application from the same HR application vendor. And they migrated the data, they migrated all information, and they had like a newer application running inside the hosting environment from the HR application vendor. And IT was not aware of that. That's the danger of cloud. I mean, I'm emphasizing it a bit, maybe a bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure when you show this to your users, hey, can you give me a list of all the cloud applications you're using? Well, first of all, they go like, what's a cloud application? Second, everything that's running, most of the cases running inside your browser, that's a cloud application. It will probably look like this, I'm pretty sure. Can be 30 applications, can be 50, can be a couple of hundred, it doesn't matter. Easy examples, Twitter, Facebook, OneDrive, SharePoint Online, Exchange Online, and all the other ones. The main issue we're facing today is authentication. I'm logging on to my corporate device, my Windows laptop, by using Active Directory. Then I'm connecting to application 1. It's an internal application. Okay, it's using Active Directory. That's pretty easy. Then I'm connecting to Facebook. Yeah, but we're talking about the corporate setup here. Yeah, I'm using Facebook for doing marketing stuff about the things that I'm speaking on for Sogeti. I'm helping the marketing team doing, sending out information about Sogeti Belgium. So I'm using Facebook. I'm not using my own personal Facebook. I'm using the Sogeti Belgium Facebook account, which is really, really dangerous. Why is that dangerous? Any idea? And I'm using Facebook, but think about any other application. Why is using a public cloud application for business reasons by sharing authentication is dangerous? What happens if I'm leaving the company tomorrow? I can piss them off on Facebook by using their own Facebook account. Hey, you know, we're the crappiest company in Belgium. We don't know shit about Microsoft. Just an example, but that's what happens. Who is controlling the authentication to Facebook and to Twitter and to all the other cloud applications? Most probably not the IT department. Who is using Dropbox in your company? Who says nobody? Who says all users are using it? The best answer is probably, I have no idea. Think back about your on-premise file server or the cloud file server, it doesn't matter. Your corporate data, confidential information, your IP. Someone has access to the shared folder, a sales manager, an HR person, a consultant. I'm moving to another IT company next week. I'm not moving, just an example. I'm moving to an IT company next week. What will I do? I make sure that I can copy over the IT shared folder from Sogeti, because that's where all the customer information is, and all the documentation we have on all the projects we've done. And that's something you, from an IT perspective, you want to make sure that it doesn't happen. And again, about everything that's running on-premise and file servers and everything, there are already tools for, 20, 25 years that can help you in blocking access, or at least finding out when something happens. But nowadays, it's very easy that someone is receiving an email with an attachment. Oh, I'm going to store it on Dropbox. And by the way, it's my personal Dropbox. It's not a Dropbox for business, or I don't know how it's called in Dropbox, but that's the main issue we're in. So how can Azure Active Directory help you? It's actually the glue, and I'm speeding up a bit in the slide deck. It's actually the glue between your on-premise environment and everything that's running in the cloud. Who is using Spotify? Who's playing Candy Crush? I'm just thinking about cloud applications. Let's take Spotify. I assume not all of you are playing Candy Crush, but maybe you like listening to music. When you log on to Spotify, I assume you all know what Spotify is. Yeah, okay. So when you log on to Spotify, one of the first things you have to create is a user account, because you want to get access to their system. First option is log on by using a Facebook account. So somehow they are relying on the Facebook identity for exposing their application. Yeah, you can also create a specific Spotify account, but who cares? I already have my Facebook account, so I'm the lazy user and I'm going to use that one. The same when you log on to Dropbox. Again, hey, give me a Facebook account or create a new one. Okay, easy, logging on with my Facebook account and done. And again, the same happens with your corporate cloud applications. So one of the things where Microsoft Azure Active Directory Premium can help you is actually gluing the on-premise Active Directory, your trusted identity system, combining with cloud applications. At present, and of course, yeah, supporting all the devices, but you already know. That's about the same. Come on, speed up. At present, within Azure, they have support for approximately, it's close to 2,500 business cloud applications. Public applications, some of them are for free, some of them you have to pay, and they can integrate with your Azure Active Directory Premium account, which is in fact your on-premise Active Directory which is being synchronized. That's it. Really, really easy to use. Couple of examples. Skype, Yammer, Microsoft account. Yeah, okay, it's all Microsoft. That's pretty obvious. We also have SAP in here. We have Google. We have some other Google component. We have Dropbox. We have AT&T. We have Twitter, and a list of 2,500 other ones. That's authentication. From an IT perspective, you get access, or you, from an IT perspective, you define, okay, this user, this Active Directory user, can get access to that specific cloud application, the 2500 public ones. That's the first thing. Second thing, Azure AD Premium is monitoring what happens with my Azure AD account in the cloud. Who is using the account? When is my user logging on? From where is he logging on? Self-service password reset, multi-factor authentication. I think 5 out of the, 35 features of Azure AD Premium. And that's really powerful. I'm using it in it's my personal production account. I'm using that for my own email. And I'm using that one as my demo account for all my sessions. And I'm traveling quite a lot for speaking at conferences and helping customers all over Europe. And about once a week, when I'm at another location, when logging on to Office 365 by using the browser, he tells me, oh, yeah, we might be a bit scared about what you're using, what you're doing with your identity, but can we do a second verification? At some point in time, it didn't work to log on. I couldn't get access to my own Exchange backend. Why? Because I was playing around and doing demos and everything, and I was talking with one of my colleagues in the US. I'm logging on, I was at Germany at that time, I'm logging on to Exchange Online out of Germany. 1 hour later, you log on with my account from a Wi-Fi connection in the US. And then Azure AD Premium tells me, hey, something's wrong. You were in Germany an hour ago? Pretty fast, boy, you. You can fly to Texas in like less than an hour and still connecting to Exchange. That's the power of Azure AD Premium. About time for a demo. Where's my Azure? Okay. So first thing, my session is open to speed up a bit the logon process. You're all familiar with Azure, right? You've seen Azure, maybe not really using it by yourself, but maybe attended some other sessions. So within Azure, within the portal, there is an option Active Directory. So I got like 2 setups here. The first one is, of course, DearSync if I want to integrate with my on-premise Active Directory environment. Activating Azure AD Premium, so just clicking the button. I already did that for you. And then exposing applications. So I prepped a few. If my demo would fail, then I could still rely on another one. So the first thing is, a couple of months ago, it was only the middle one. Add an application that's part of the gallery, the 2500 cloud applications. Since a couple of weeks, you also have the option, add an application that I'm developing, you as an organization. So it's not only the 2500 public cloud applications, but also your own company cloud applications that you're developing. And the last one, and that's really interesting, publish an application that will be accessible from outside your network. This, I'm going to rephrase it a bit. This means by using Azure Active Directory logon account, give me access from the same portal, and I'll show you in a couple of minutes, from that same public portal to my in-house web applications. Your Exchange webmail, which is running in your own data center, for example, or an intranet or whatsoever. Think back about my full Outlook VPN issues, strugglings, frustrating the users. That's solving that problem.
Yeah, I thought that would have meant give me access to some service I'm using, but it's not within the 2500
yep.
that have been
yep.
Already. So if I'm using one that's not within that, or I have to think about if I'm being approached by a vendor who says, use my service, I have to think, well, have you been
on the list? Yeah. So the example I gave about Spotify, I wouldn't say I'm pretty sure, but I'm actually somehow hoping that within a couple of months, when you log on, or when you go to spotify.com or co.uk, I don't know, you have still the Facebook account, the Spotify account, and woo, Azure Active Directory Premium account. That would be really cool. Adding an application from the gallery. So I'm going to take an easy example, Facebook. Because that's already, so it's Facebook Evo. So what actually happens is I'm connecting my Azure AD Premium environment to one of those 2,500 cloud applications. That's the first thing. The next thing is assign users who from within my Active Directory environment can use that application. Based on groups or users, demo environment is pretty small, so I only have a few users, and I'm going to use my Active Directory account, which is being synchronized with Office 365. That's the first one. I could click Finish, and that's it. What happens is I have my Azure AD account, which is in fact a copy of my on-premise Active Directory user, the Peter @ and so on. I'm using that user, and I'm giving him the access rights to use Facebook from the Azure portal. That's what I'm doing now. The next step, when I'm just closing this one, when my user logs on to the Azure portal, he selects the Facebook icon, he will get a pop-up for credentials. But that's so 90s. I want to integrate my corporate ID. And this one means I'm using my Facebook account. Now think back about my example that this account is the corporate Facebook account shared with all the 15 marketing ladies within the company. Take some time, and there we go. So I have my user, he's allowed to use Facebook, and I'm going to log on. I'm going to close this one to make sure that I got the new one. To myapps.microsoft.com. It's one of these so many Azure portals. And of course, it's taking the same user account. That's what makes you lose time in doing demos, right? Whoop. It's a work account based on Active Directory and DirSync without ADFS, because otherwise it would just redirect me. And if all goes well, nope, it's probably taking some time. Well, this one is a valid example. I'm logged on with my Office 365 account to one of these so many Azure portals. He recognizes the account, he knows that I'm using Exchange Online with the same AD account and SharePoint Online with the same AD account. Let's say I want to go to my Office without any other user interaction. It will just redirect me to my corporate Active Directory and Exchange Online. I'm going to try once more. Let's see if I just refresh, if that, it's not really picking up. That's why we have a second account. Now I'm using the in private because I'm otherwise mixing up all my different accounts and just making sure for myself that I'm using the correct account. He's having the same applications except the new Facebook one that I added. So what do I have with this account? It's an AD user. It's synchronized with Azure AD Premium. It's using Office 365. I removed Office 365 from his portal, just for demo purposes. I'm exposing Facebook, I'm exposing OneDrive, I'm exposing Salesforce.com and American Airlines. Give me Facebook, the corporate Facebook from the marketing department. And it's redirecting me automatically by using the corporate Facebook account. Now, if I'm leaving the company, what do I need to do? Removing access to the app. Yeah, so what's the most easy thing you can do? Don't think about cloud. I'm working for your organization. I'm leaving the company. What's the first thing that you'll do?
Leaving or left?
They kicked me out. Yeah, so you block my account or you change my password or whatsoever. In this setup, that's the only thing you have to do. I'm logging on to the myapps.microsoft.com, which can be customized to a more familiar company URL, by the way. I'm relying on my Azure AD account, which is synchronized with my on-prem AD account. So if I'm blocking my on-prem AD, it will block my Azure AD. I won't have access to the portal anymore, so I won't have access to the corporate Facebook account anymore.
Well, if you change the password over there in Facebook.
Yeah, then you have to change it in the portal again as well.
But if you're logged in now, do you have access to change the password? That's now you're in. You're in
On Facebook, yeah.
Before you leave, you change
Yeah.
the password.
Yeah. That's a Facebook issue. Yeah, I know, but yeah, I know. Actually a good one. Something I have to think about. But not for this session. Second thing quickly is, where's my Azure portal? It's here. And of course I need to log on again. I could probably show you from here, yeah. So I'm logged on with my AD account. I can specify group access. You can specify approvals. So for example, I'm a normal user and I want to get access to Salesforce.com. You can integrate an approval process where the manager from my sales team actually has to approve that me being the user, Peter, can have access to the Salesforce.com in the cloud. And then the last one is profile management. From a user perspective, I can reset my password, Active Directory, Active Directory and Azure password, which will be synchronized back to my on-prem. And I can also register password resets by, for example, configuring a reset phrase by email or configuring my mobile device. What happens? I don't remember my password. So I log on to some Azure feature, Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, the myapps.microsoft.com, and I forgot my password. In a normal setup, I have to call to the help desk asking, hey, can you reset my password? By using Azure AD Premium self-service, password reset, I can activate my mobile device, my Windows phone whatsoever, allowing that machine, that device for mobile device management and password reset as well. So what happens? I log on like once, twice, 3 times. Sorry, you forgot your password, but we can help you in doing password reset. Okay, send me a text message. I receive a PIN code on my phone. I have to use that PIN code to authenticate, and then the password will be reset, and so on. That's also part of the Azure AD Premium. Next thing, rights management. I'm going to speed up a bit. Rights management, explained in the introduction, it's Encrypting, securing data. That's the first thing. If you have the access token, if you have the key to actually open the door, you can enter the room. If you don't have the key, sorry, you cannot enter the room. That's data encryption and data security. Again, Azure Active Directory, rights management service component is first of all data encryption, securing the data itself. So your Word document is not being sent as just a Word document, it's being sent as an encrypted Word document. Second part is identity and access management. From an IT perspective, or if you want from an end user perspective, you can specify what user has what level of access to that specific document. If, for example, and I'll show you in a couple of minutes in another demo, I have my local file share, because I don't want to rely on the VPN connection to the corporate file servers. On those files, me being the user, I can specify, okay, if I send this document to someone within my own organization, he can only review the document, having view access. If he wants to forward it, it doesn't work. If he wants to print the document, it doesn't work. Yeah, you can always take a picture, I know, but that's rights management services. Again, having the ability to be integrated with Azure AD, and even if you want with your on-premise Active Directory. Because that's where the issues are today. Organization 1, they are completely cloud ready. I assume all of you, because you were using Office 365, Azure, and Intune. So you're like the cloud ready company for me. Integrating rights management services is really, really easy. You already have Azure Active Directory. You have within Azure Active Directory, in the same Azure portal, it's just one option on the Active Directory component, enable rights management services, and configuring some policies. That's the second part. Key management is done within Azure, so your encryption keys are stored within Azure as well, on secured systems and so on. That's a bit too much in detail. And if you want, Office 365 is mentioned optional, but again, since a few months, by migrating features between Office 365 and Azure AD, Office 365 also has the capability to activate rights management services. Encrypting, securing your SharePoint documents, for example. Now, what if you're not the full cloud user? You have some stuff running on-premise, you have some stuff running in the cloud. Well, that's pretty easy. It's exactly the same. The only component that's different is an Azure Rights Management Service connector. On your on-premise file server, with all your secure data on it, you install the Azure Rights Management connector. It's talking with Azure AD Premium, and everything else is the same. And then the last one, but that's probably not someone who's attending this conference, they are against cloud. We're not using SharePoint Online. We're not using Exchange Online. We're not using Azure. But I actually recognize the same issue where data can be stolen out of my file servers. I'm interested in rights management services. The good news is it does exist, and it actually exists for like 7, 8 years already. Active Directory 2003, so it's almost 12 years. Active Directory 2003, Server 2003 already had rights management services built in. If you are already using that version and you're migrating to Azure AD and migrating to Azure Rights Management Services, the functionality is about the same. So that's again, think about the data center Microsoft environment, the cloud Microsoft environment. It's all coming together. Another short demo to make sure that I can finish almost in time. I'm connecting to my file share. This file share, okay, it's running locally, but this could even be a network shared folder. I have my demo location, so it's just a shared folder. By installing the RMS agent, so it's a small little piece of small agent you have to install. it's actually integrating with the operating system. I'm showing this on a Windows, but it's running on Android and iOS as well. Protection in place. I'm not going to show you how to build the policies, because that might take a bit of time. It's not really complex, but you have to specify this group of Active Directory users gets access, full access to the data, read-only access, editor access, and so on. So it's a bit like NTFS permissions, but on a different level. But for example, protect in place, yeah, some of them are demo setups or custom ones. And then there's an issue, and I knew that one. They are updating the agent. And my oldest version is not talking to the backend anymore. But I was a bit too scared to update my agent, because otherwise I couldn't show you this one. But the key message is, it's integrated here. I can show you another example in my live presentation. From within the application, I also have a small plugin in my ribbon, Share Protected, and then it will talk with the RMS agent again. How does it work in a normal setup from this perspective? It's asking me my cloud credentials. My Azure AD cloud credentials will be used to actually encrypt the data. In the next possible policy, me being the user, or again you as the IT guys, or someone from within the organization, you can specify those rules and force them even on directory level. And then again, it's the same like NTFS. If you're blocking access on top level on the folder, then everything underneath will be blocked as well. So again, NTFS, you're all familiar with NTFS. Rights management services, it's almost the same. Any questions? No? Last part, Intune. I need like 10 minutes maximum, so that I would stick within my 60 minutes. Intune, the last component, it's all about mobile device management. Managing the device from a negative perspective, blocking the device, but actually forcing policies. Intune, since the last 2 years, exists in 2 flavors, a cloud-only one, or integration with SCCM, System Center Configuration Manager. Now, why the integration with Configuration Manager? Because quite a lot of organizations are already using SCCM for managing their full Windows desktops and Windows laptops. Everything's running on premise, they're pretty familiar with the console, and then they want to manage mobile devices. Okay, we have to use a cloud service. That was Intune version 1 and 2, like 4 years and 3 years ago. And then 2 years ago, with the SCCM 2012, Microsoft created like a Intune connector. And then you can actually choose if you want to manage them from the cloud or manage them from the SCCM console. Most customers rely on the SCCM console because it's like one pane of glass for managing all devices. How does it look like? You log on to the Intune portal, and it looks like this. And somehow there's a small part missing. It's not that important, it's just the administration ribbon with all the different options. Just to give you a quick walk around, and I have to authenticate again. Which is also advanced security in my opinion. I opened my session like an hour ago, and after, I don't know, 20 minutes it's timing out. So let me go back to my dashboard. In a couple of words, what do I see from this, my device health? Oh, there's one device that's not healthy, meaning it's or not up to date with the antivirus engine that I'm pushing out of Intune, or it's missing Windows updates. You're all familiar with WSUS? It's like integrated with Intune as well. So missing updates, inactive mobile devices. It's a small test that I've done. So I have my Windows phone. I integrated it in the portal. And then I kept it offline for like 2 weeks. After 7 days, it will tell you, hey, I'm managing a device, but it's actually not reachable anymore. Might be normal, but maybe it got stolen. So that's quite important. And then underneath here, but there's something apparently wrong with the resolution, is just a graphical overview of the different mobile devices with different colors. Android ones, iOS 1, and Windows 1.
Can you configure how long that inactivity is?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that you can say if it's inactive for 2 days or something.
Yeah, sure, no problem. What we have here is, for example, Windows updates, and you're familiar with WSUS, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's critical updates, security updates, definition updates. It's WSUS in a lightweight edition. Another interesting one is pushing apps. You, as the IT department, you can define what applications can be installed on a mobile device. In the exact same way as you're probably doing today by using SCCM or any other mechanism, pushing new versions of applications to your full Windows managed clients. Again, iOS, Android, Windows phones, Windows tablets, it's all supported. And then the most interesting one for mobile device management is policies. Without going too much in detail for each and every policy, I prepared a few ones. I hope they're not turning off the internet connection. Some interesting things, and from my perspective quite important ones, is, for example, password related. Remember in the introduction, I already mentioned that there are quite a lot of mobile device management applications available today. Some of them are very, very good for managing iOS, not capable of managing Android or lacking features and so on. In my opinion, this one is one of the best regarding password management on the mobile device. Forcing a PIN code, I mean, any device can do that, or any mobile device management solution can do that. What's the default in 90% of those management tools? You need a PIN code. And 4 characters is more than enough. By using Intune, first of all is require a password. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Second is a PIN code. Yeah, but a PIN code that's only from 0 to 9. Is that secure? 4 characters long? Not really. Intune can force you to use alphanumeric passwords. Imagine you have your Active Directory running. A default password setting on Windows Server 2012 is, any idea? Default setting? It's complex passwords, so you know letters and uppercase, lowercase, complex characters. And I think by default it's 8 or 12 characters long. You can use the same password complexity on a mobile device. I wouldn't say Intune is the only one, but it's one of the rare ones. Allowing simple passwords, yes or no. So like setting the password January 2015 when it's actually January, it won't work. Using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it doesn't work. That's password management. Password encryption, remembering passwords, picture passwords. What about encryption of the device? Yes or no? Encrypting the device means everything that's stored on the device will be encrypted. If I'm losing my device and someone is capable of taking out the hard drive or the memory card that's in there, he won't have access to the data. It's just an option. Sorry?
Can you do that in an iOS?
No. But that's, again, a missing feature of the operating system. It's not related to Intune as such. I mean, if it's not supported in the operating system itself, yeah, then any management solution on top of it.
Unless it is already encrypted.
Could be, yeah, could be. System updates, Oh, sorry. System updates. What about cloud access? Allow backup to iCloud, for example. That was an interesting one, like 2-3 months ago, when, I don't know, one of the actresses got some nude pictures exposed out of her iCloud backup. And the day after I was presenting at a conference, ooh, this was an interesting feature. Accounts, email synchronization, applications, browser settings, proxy settings, pushing, and so on, and so on, and so on. This is what I call true mobile device management. There's an Excel file existing on the Microsoft website with all the policies in detail and explaining what they are doing. When I'm talking to one of my customers, I'm using that Excel file, and when actually creating the project for implementing EMS, I give them the Excel file and I tell them, okay, just give me the file back with all the options you want. I'm not going to spend like 5 days going through each and every policy myself. And then sometimes I go like, oh, that's an interesting one. Oh, we've been looking for that one for like 2 years already. So far, I haven't had any customer in the last 6 months that says, okay, I want this feature, and it's available in that solution, but not in Intune. Of course, again, if it's supported by the operating system. Another one that I mentioned in the introduction, conditional access. You can get access to that specific application out of your mobile device if you are compliant with those policies. An easy one again, since we're talking about SharePoint. From a business perspective, how can I make sure that my user, he has his personal phone, he knows that he has to connect to sharepoint.company.com, getting access by using his Active Directory username and password. The most easy way for blocking access is by using conditional access. It's just one little flag, and the same exists for Exchange on-premise or Exchange online. This is one of the first, and in any situation, the first policy that I have to activate at all my customers. Yes, I want to give them access, but to start with, we block everything. If your device is not managed by Intune, you don't have access anymore. No logging on to SharePoint Online, not logging on to the email profile, and so on and so on. One simple policy setting. I could talk about the policies for like 3 hours, so I'm not really going to do that. One last thing I'm going to show you is how it looks like on the mobile device itself. It will only take like 5 minutes, so I'm running like 3 minutes behind. But since you're all staying, that means you're interested. So the first thing you have to do for actually enrolling the device is connecting to the public store. Where is my store? Here. And installing the company portal. If you're doing this on an Android device, if you're doing this on an iOS device, it's again connecting to the public store. And installing, just a few megabytes. So it says pending, there we go.
So is this different to Workplace Join?
It's not completely the same as Workplace Join. What happens with Workplace Join is telling that the mobile device is considered as a lightweight domain client. That's it. It's not managing, not controlling the device. You don't have all the policies available. It's considered as a semi-trusted device in your domain.
More for a bring your own device rather than this the company asset.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a great solution. Again, if you're facing the mobile device issues, exposing a non-corporate managed or even controlled device to bring your own device story. I mean, Workplace Join is one of the coolest features. But it's only somehow trusting the device for getting access to domain-related sources, like a file server. But it's not blocking you from installing apps. It's not blocking you from using the pictures or the camera. By using Intune, you can force policies, for example, that I'm not allowed to install the Facebook app on the corporate phone. Just an easy example. So the company portal is installed. I'm not going to full screen because then the video is really blurry, so I'm going to show it like this. Let's see if I can make it a bit more bigger. Yep. So now again I need to log on with my Active Directory user account, and you already know that one. And then you know why I'm closing my window. For my password, pretty obvious. Come on. It's a bit an old phone. With really tiny characters. I'm almost there. I hope I typed it correctly. You can do it. Any questions in between? No? Like the session? That's good. So here we are. This is just some information. You can access the same by using the full browser on a Windows device. So the first thing he tells me is, this is not a managed device. It's either not enrolled or the company portal cannot identify it. Tap Enroll to identify. Okay, enroll the device, add my account, and there we go again. And if everything goes fine, one second. Reason why I'm closing my window is because I wasn't really thinking that someone would actually steal my password. And I did a similar demo at a conference a couple of months ago. And when I came back to the hotel, logging on to my Windows environment, which is using the same account and the same password, I couldn't log on to my own server anymore. So that's why I'm hiding the, hiding the password. I would all think you were here for enjoying the session and not for stealing passwords. But so now my device is enrolled. It's easy as that. You install the company portal, you log on with your Active Directory credentials, a couple of minutes, and that's it. It will take a few minutes, won't wait for that one. The next couple of minutes, it will synchronize with the Intune backend, and it will push the policy. So it will go through each and every setting. Is the device encrypted or not? Will I enforce a PIN code, and so on and so on. We're not going to wait for that. I mean, I've done this already. More than enough. I know it's working. So with that, I think we're almost there, like 10 minutes behind schedule. We started with the mobility scene. Think about the 4 key phrases I recognize at my customers. Mobility is the normal. No compromise on data security. Then we talked about the Microsoft EMS, Enterprise Mobility Suite. The 3 different components. The first one, who remembers? Azure AD. Second one, RMS. And the last one? Okay. And then some demos and some questions in between. Think about the little something that I can give you back beside my experience with EMS. I hope you're enjoying my session. I got 4 t-shirts, feel free to take them with you. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not taking them back to Belgium, that's for sure. Thank you for being here.